What's up, everybody? It's Critical.
Ken's lost his damn mind, y'all. Last night, Ken Penders started going bananas on Twitter. And this is just like a couple days after I released my video. Coincidence? You be the judge. He replied to a thread of people talking about the romantic relationships in the Sonic comic with the one story I couldn't tell was Sally losing her virginity to Geoffrey. Sonic may be fast, but Geoffrey was faster on the draw in that department. To which somebody understandably replied, "Isn't Sally a minor though and Geoffrey a full-grown adult?" The one response you don't want to give to this kind of question is the whole argument that it's legal in some states for 13 and 14-year-olds to fuck like adults that are over 18, because it's not a good thing. It almost never happens in a legal way. If it happens in a legal way, it's still really fucked up. I mean, at age 13 and 14, you're reading comic books and flicking boogers. An adult like coming down on somebody that young, it's just fucking like wrong. You can't fucking like make those types of decisions when you're 13 and 14, and the amount of intimidation that's possible from an adult if you're that young, that's like a whole nother thing you have to consider. So Ken bravely responds, "There's states here in the US where a 13-year-old can marry somebody in their 40s. As repugnant as that reality is, as repugnant as it is, guys, that is something that can happen. I just wanted to let you know, right up under this thing where I was talking about a character that's supposed to be 16 years old fucking a guy who's like 20. So I think the argument he's definitely making here is that because that is legal in some places, this is okay in this fictional universe. It doesn't matter as much because worse shit is legal to do. I think this is a fucking really stupid argument. Like, just because something is legal, you know, that doesn't make it like a good thing to do or a good thing to add into a story or a good thing to talk about doing or want to do. I was in a Discord one time where there was this guy who would just post pictures of like random girls' butts, like he would just take like while he was out in public. And we asked this guy, do these girls know that you're taking pictures of their butts? Because it kind of looks like they don't know that you're doing this. I asked him this because he was a self-proclaimed ultra feminist. You know, he was all about like women's rights and equality, and anytime anything would pop up about like something to do with, you know, feminism or something, he would be the first person to rush in with sword and shield and shiny white armor. To which he replied, "No, they don't. And that's not illegal." So, you know, it's the same kind of thing here. I mean, what else could Ken really be implying? It's legal, therefore it is okay. You guys are really overreacting. So of course people reacted to this the way you might expect, thinking that it's just like insane to have this opinion, insane to even bring this up in such a weird circumstance where no one was really talking about this. No one was really asking for his opinion on it. And he starts talking about like, oh yeah, I was amazed when I discovered there was a such thing as Sonic porn. No one also was asking about Sonic porn. I don't know if Ken is trapped in some kind of like zone that he created from Sonic where when people talk about things, he hears like some other, it just like goes into his brain and just computes as like something from another dimension that's being said, and his response comes to this dimension. But he seems to do this a lot where people will talk about something and he'll respond to it with something completely unrelated. Right here, he even starts talking about like Star Trek, Kirk, Spock fan fiction shit that he had to deal with when he was a Trekkie. Okay, so then Ken starts immediately trying to change the subject. He starts talking about how he's still waiting for people to condemn Elvis and Prince Charles, who were dating 14-year-olds and 16-year-olds when they were in their 20s and shit like that. Yeah, people think that's fucked up. People who know about that can immediately will tell you, and they did tell you that that shit is fucked up. So then Ken really pulls out all the stops. He starts throwing his weight around as a creator who worked on the series back when it was really popular in the comics. Sally may be 16 in human years, but 32 in squirrel years. Your arguments thus become irrelevant due to a legitimate storytelling point. Well, wowee, Ken, you really got us nailed to a fucking cross here. Sally is 16 in human years, but 32 in squirrel years. So why is the canon age of her 16 as claimed by you? By the way, I've never heard the argument that squirrel years are, you know, equivalent to 2 human years. I guess it's kind of like dog years being 7 human years or whatever. or 1 human year, 7 dog years, whichever way it goes. You know what I'm talking about. But I guess Ken, you know, created squirrels too and wrote them into existence. So I guess he gets to make those kinds of decisions. He starts talking about how J.K. Rowling is entitled to expand upon her vision as she likes due to the undeniable fact that she created the mythology in the first place. Except, Ken, you didn't create Sally Acorn. That's an Archie Comics character. You didn't even steal the copyright out from under Archie for that character. Sally Acorn is not owned by you. You couldn't even swoop in and take the copyright for it. Like, you don't actually own this character. But I was a creator of the comics. I had a major impact on the series. That's not ego. That's an established fact. I still have control of King Elias and Queen Mother Alicia, which I can establish the concept of how old these characters are in relation to humans. No, you can't. You can't just say whatever you want as far as how old these characters are, Ken. That's totally retarded. Why would you all of a sudden change this? I've never seen him say anything like this before. Let me pull my can I get my Sonic gamer fans in here for a second? I just need to talk to you guys for a second. Hey, Sonic gamer fans. I need to ask you a quick question, okay? I need to know this for my own sanity. Has Ken Penders ever tried to say like that, you know, the age of these characters are different, like dog years or anything like that? Like has he ever tried to say that, oh, this character's 16 in human years, but you know, squirrel years, she's 32. Is this just like a new thing that he's just made up for these characters he didn't create or own in any way? Is this just something he made up for this argument so he doesn't like a pedophile? Let me know in the comments below. So Ken, you know, being completely stomped, goes directly into backpedal mode, like almost immediately, when this guy Big Dom comes out and says, this whole thing started because you complained you couldn't write the story of Sally losing her virginity. And I actually asked Ken how he would have depicted this. To let you know that 2 characters in a story have had sex, you don't explicitly have to show the sex happening. And that's all well and good, Ken. We know that we can show that those 2 people have a child, those 2 characters. We can show those characters, you know, imply that something sexual is going on through dialogue. But I'm curious as to how you depict that someone's virginity was lost to another character without explicitly showing that happening or explicitly coming out and saying something like, you know, oh yeah, ever since I deflowered Sally or something. I'm wondering what the approach you would have taken towards this would be, Ken. I'm really curious. I'm asking you this directly. Ken Penders, I want to know the answer to this question. Please email me, hazencruise@gmail.com, or hit me up on Twitter @hazencruise. To which Ken replies, you're twisting the whole thing into a pretzel. I merely said one story I couldn't do was Sally being deflowered by Jeffrey. That's not a complaint, but rather an observation of fact. There is a difference, a huge one. Wasn't that great that he just let us know his opinion on that and then spent like a whole fucking 24 hours just backpedaling and trying to change the subject and just engaging with people and defending his point of view of how this was like a great thing that should have been in the comic? Great, Ken. Great. It's just an opinion you want to throw out there. It's just like a throwaway line on Twitter, but you spent a day fucking building a castle around it. Then Ken comes out and says, it occurs to me the problem with my critics is that unlike them, I have, you know, lived a life. And before calling it a night, I recalled I was 17 on my own and dating a 23-year-old woman I met in night school at Northeastern U. I've mostly dated older women ever since.
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
Then someone asks, why are you still going? And then Ken replies, to annoy you and others like you. What else is there in life? Well, hidey ho, tittle my toes. You're living your best life, Ken. Just annoying people on Twitter. This guy literally tweets that, you know, he's higher than everybody else who's arguing with him because, you know, he's lived a life. And then immediately underneath it talks about the whole reason he spent a whole day doing this sandcastle shit is because he just wanted to annoy people on Twitter. What else is there to life? Then Ken creates a fucking sock puppet account so that he can fucking argue his own points again and make it look like somebody else is doing it. It's really strange that most people bombarding you don't realize the age of consent is 16 almost everywhere in the world, including most of the US. Yeah, well, let's take a look at this Chunky for the Win account. Let's do a little digging and see what Chunky for the Win normally gets up to on Twitter. Oh, fucking nothing. This guy never tweets, never doesn't follow anybody, Nobody follows him. The account was created last month, possibly just a couple days ago, with it still being very early April. I even went so far as to just call him Ken straight up in a comment, and he responded to it without correcting me. So then Ken posts this whole fucking thing, his life story, I guess, about how like his son somehow was reading stuff on his Twitter and laughing about people arguing with him. And so he called him and, you know, they had a little fucking nice chat over some chai tea. And then he just goes into this whole thing about how he was married for 9 years and he met some woman named Bernadette who he calls Bernie. Huh? You call your wife Bernie? Why are you talking about any of this? Then Ken talks about how he went to Catholic school. Okay, so that's what's wrong with him. That I've been trying to figure out what the fuck is the matter with Ken Penders. He went to Catholic school. That's what's fucking wrong with him. He went to Catholic school and he didn't come out as a comedian. If you went to Catholic school, you have to come out as a comedian and you have to give up Catholicism. That's the only way you're worth anything to society. If you go to a Catholic school and you stay Catholic and you don't become a comedian, you end up like this. You end up just some dude who lives in this weird fucking bubble where all this weird fucked up shit is okay. And, you know, the fucking bread you eat at communion actually somehow magically becomes Jesus's flesh or some stupid shit. I know parents who would rather their daughter were with a 20-year-old instead of a 28-year-old or even older. It sounds like some of the parents, you know, Ken, might have some problems. Ken also loves to go through these comments and just curate each one with, you know, a little comment about how ignorant everybody is, how stupid everybody is and stuff. Again, it's a 13-year-old's idea of, you know, like how you argue about something or like how you have a conversation about something when somebody is opposed to what you're saying. Well, that's about going to do it, I guess. I guess Ken is completely in the right because it's legal in some places for 13-year-olds to fuck 30-year-old men. You know, he should be able to write a story about that and nobody should be able to criticize him about it. Everybody should just accept it. Everybody's a weird, dumb, idiot poo-poo head if they think that anything is wrong with him, you know, years after working on a series, talking about how he really wanted to squeeze in some kind of thing where, you know, some 20-year-old character took a 16-year-old girl's virginity. Because, you know, that's real important in the Sonic universe to know who lost their virginity to who. I know that when I'm reading Sonic comics, I'm not really that interested in, you know, how many power rings he's going to get or if he can save his Uncle Chuck or whatever. As a kid, when I watched the Sonic cartoons, I really wasn't really that interested in like the adventures him and Tails went on. I just wanted to know who Bunny Rabbit lost her virginity to and their ages, how old they actually were canon wise. That's really what I wanted from the Sonic comic. I know that's what America wanted from the Sonic comic. Thank God, Ken, that you finally cleared this shit up for us. Thank fuck for that.